Off and running on this Sunday afternoon at Gulfstream Park. It's great to have you with us here on Gulfstream today. Jason Blue and Acacia Courtney alongside on a beautiful, wow, is it nice here.
Yeah.
Sunday morning turned Sunday early afternoon in South Florida.
Yes, it is. We got lucky today, yesterday as well. A little bit of early breeze to start things off. So a great day on tap here, and certainly a great day yesterday with a couple of stakes here at Gulfstream, and of course being Kentucky Derby Day and our own Florida Derby winner 2 years in a row.
Always dreaming, coming out of that Florida Derby for trainer Todd Pletcher, and John Velasquez won the 143rd running of the Kentucky Derby. He was terrific yesterday. Felt bad for the people of Churchill Downs that it rained throughout the Friday Kentucky Oaks card, and the track was a sea of slop even at post time for the Derby. But Always Dreaming took to the wet track, was a speed throughout. We'll go back and take a look at the stretch run of the Derby, in which Always Dreaming made it a perfect 3 for 3 in 2017.
He certainly did. Preliminary buyer speed figure coming back, a 102 for Always Dreaming. You can see him out there in the front. He did go off the post-time favorite at 9-2 in those green silks. Todd Pletcher, of course, a lot of talk about his Kentucky Derby record, just 1 for 45. He got the win here today, and with John Velasquez in the saddle, they've won many, many races together. This one was the missing puzzle piece.
Yeah, very fitting that Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez teamed up for their first ever Kentucky Derby win. If you're watching Gulfstream today, I'm sure you're aware they have been the preeminent trainer-jockey combination over the last close to 20 years. Certainly in my lifetime, I think of Bill Mott and Jerry Bailey, Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez. So a job well done with a colt by Bodemeister dropping out of that big victory here in the Florida Derby, and that has been, at least over the last decade and a half, very fertile ground. In fact, even being fair about it and being more thorough, you go back through the first 66 runnings of the Florida Derby, you've had 44 Florida Derby starters who have come back to win 59 races in the Triple Crown, and Always Dreaming wound up being the 24th Florida Derby winner to come back and take the Kentucky Derby.
Pretty impressive to see that for sure. As I said, 2 years in a row, we did have Nyquist winning the Kentucky Derby last year out of the Florida Derby, and hearing some preliminary thoughts from Todd Pletcher saying that he'll just gallop Always Dreaming before the Preakness, but they will ship to Pimlico, so that'll be the next step in a couple weeks. I'm actually shipping out to Pimlico in about a week to get ready for the Preakness there at our sister track, of course, up in Maryland, but really looking forward to this year's Triple Crown season, the rest of it for sure. Hopefully we get some better weather in the next 2 legs.
Yeah, let's hope for that, both up in Maryland and, of course, on Long Island. Beautiful Belmont Park, no doubt about that. And that's the beauty of the Triple Crown. You run the Derby 13 days out from the second jewel, the Preakness Stakes at Pimlico Racecourse. You'll be up there covering the action along with Gabby Gaudette and Ron Nicoletti. So we're glad we have you today, and glad you're with us as well on Gulfstream today as we sit outside a beautiful Gulfstream Park facility just adjacent to the walking ring behind us and the Gulfstream Park Village. We are fast and firm, and as far as what's going on, well, you've got Pletcher in action today, Todd Pletcher. He wound up going 3 for 3, or won 3 races on yesterday's card, including a Kentucky Derby Day Stakes sweep, and he's got action in races 4, 5, and 6. And speaking of the Sunday action, we'll get you up to speed. We're all about friendly reminders here on Gulfstream today, and the dollar rolling super high five begins in race number 1 with a carryover of about $2,200, and of course that is also the starting point of the very popular early pick 5.
Yes, it is, and Jason will tackle those pick 5 tickets. I'll tackle the Rainbow 6. That does have a carryover as well, $81,000 plus in there. That starts in the 5th race today. Again, just a 20-cent wager, and then we cap things off with that late pick 5 in the 6th race today.
All right, Sunday fun day as we have 10 races on the card. We're back to our regular start time of 1:15 p.m. fast and firm, and just a beautiful day here with the weatherman cooperating in South Florida. Without further ado, we'll dive into the action. We'll also take a look at my early pick 5 on the program today. We'll anchor the play with the white hot second-time winning Kentucky Derby champion trainer and Todd Pletcher. He's got the 3 lunch break, a second-time starter for Rapoli stable. Edgar Zayas, I'll single him in the back end, a 3x3, 2x2 play for just $18, using every bit of the 1, 2, and 5 in this first race as the older fillies and mares kick off a 1-1 early double. We've got one for you on the grass, one for you on the main track, and we'll start the action at 1:16. And the favorite right now, and for good reason, the number 5, College Holly, for trainer Ron Fichot, a high percentage outfit out in the Midwest who had a winner here just a couple of days ago.
Yes, absolutely. And this horse, she's a tough mare for sure. She is a 2-time winner on the turf, though her most recent win was on the sealed sloppy track at the fairgrounds last time out, making her first start for the new connections now. She is first off the claim, and she got that win, but it took a significant drop in class to get that win, and that is what does concern me. She does now come to the $10,000 tag, so maybe trying to put her in a bit of a spot where they just think that she might be able to get the win. I was proceeding with a little bit of caution, but certainly wouldn't leave her off.
No, you have to use her even if you think she's vulnerable defensively in the early pick 5, but I get the drop and why it is perceived as a negative. I mean, if she wins and gets claimed today, the whole thing is basically a wash for owner Frank Calabrese and Ron Fichot. But again, you do have to tread at least somewhat lightly, as she is in for the $10,000, and it's good to have Tyler Gaffalione with us back at Gulfstream Park after riding Patch in yesterday's Kentucky Derby. Now, if you're against her, you think the 5 College Holly is a bit vulnerable, as clearly you do, as you're trying to beat her in the exacta with the old 2-7. You could tell us why you like the 2 Spring Spirit, and if I'm not mistaken, we've got a replay of this Mark Casse trained mare.
Yes, we'll show you actually too, and we'll go back to that last race. This was on January 8th, and we're going to start with the head-on of the break, so keep your eyes on the number 7, and we'll just let it roll there. She does break out a bit at the start. You can see she actually cuts off her next-door neighbor, the number 8. There's just a lot of shifting going on, and then she does get knocked out of position. Now we'll turn to the quarter pole and just freeze right there. You can see her right there in the very familiar hot pink Gary Barber silks, and we'll just let it roll from there. Now, she ended up in a chasing spot, and what I want to do now as we're rounding the far turn, you saw she just had a little bit of a bump there in the yellow silks with Thinking of Mom, who did end up winning. And what I wanted to do is show how she was chasing and she was trying, and she couldn't quite get there, and I just think the drop in class is going to be key for her today.
Yeah, another class dropper in the first, well connected as well with Mark Casse and Edgar Zayas teaming up with the 2 Spring Spirit. My other horse, the 1 Zuby Zuby Zoo, goes out for a good turf trainer in Steve Cosares off a layoff of about 135 days. You've got the 2-7 as the outside runner, looking for money for trainer Armando de la Cerda, capture exacta.
This one ran a good race last time, I thought, behind Wakachula, who came back to win next time, second off the bench. Had some speed from the outside.
All right, race number 2, as promised, we'll head to the main track. We get all the surfaces here at Gulfstream in the first 2, and we'll head to the dirt with a 1-mile, 3-and-up filly mare, 2 lifetime, 62.50 claimer, and Ecliptical My Way, the number 3 for trainer Armando de la Cerda, you think is very dangerous in the first. He certainly got the filly to beat here in race number 2. Is she the one they've got to catch? Is she lone speed potentially?
I think she could be, and she had a tough start to her trip last time, and we'll go back and show that race. This was on the 26th of April. She's the number 2, and she stumbles pretty badly coming out of the gate. We'll just let that roll, and you can see the number 2 as she goes almost to her knees. Nick Juarez doing a good job of keeping her up that day. Very capable Edgar Zayas aboard, and even after that, she did end up getting the lead coming out of the chute, so you can see that she kind of gets hustled up. She's there with the white shadow roll and the black blinkers, and now you can see that she does end up getting to the front there, and I wanted to show that. And now, as we're going to let it go just a little bit longer, because I wanted to highlight how, if we just freeze right there, out on the outside, the red silks, that's Liberty Road, the number 6, and that horse is going to pressure her the entire way, and now we'll just let it roll again. She got pressure the entire way that day. I don't think that will be the case today.
No, and she was pressured by an eventual winner. Keep that in mind in Liberty Road, and also a filly in Liberty Road who is even money. So she was pressured by the legit favorite in this race back on April 26th. If she gets loose, despite the drop, and again, similar in a way situation to the likely favorite College Holly in the first, where you have a horse who was claimed 2 back for 12.5 out of that high percentage percentage Frank Calabrese barn, who's in for the 6250. So you do have another drop down to deal with. I tried to shake things up for second with the 4 Misty Phyllis, who I don't really like off the paper. It's just a case of hopefully a 3-4 cold exacta with an upwards of 40% barn at the meet, and trainer Ralph's 80.
You certainly could get that, and a nice 10-1 on the morning line on that horse. I did use the number 5 Wild Dalton, another dropper. If you look just on the dirt form, the last dirt race was against $16,000 types, and this is a good-looking filly. I've been chasing her a couple times. This just might be the right spot.
All right, we'll see if it is. On a race number 3, the gals continue in the spotlight as the fillies and mares come up in the third, a 2-lifetime $10,000 claiming race on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th. Just the 1 scratch of the 2 Cape Magic. Those that entered showed up to play today. There's very few scratches and changes on this Sunday card here at Gulfstream Park amid picture-perfect and pristine weather conditions. And we'll finish off the opening leg of that first pick 3 with a group of 5 led by the inside runner, Sassy Astray, for trainer Steve Cosares. I think she pulls a good trip in this race, wins, and clearly you do as well.
Yes, we're pretty much in agreement this race, and I think that the number 4, Strayana, certainly will take some money. She's 2-1 on the morning line, but I did see her as kind of pace dependent in here, and I thought, again, at the rail post position for Sassy Astray, she has the good running style for that. She's as a versatile type as well. She can sit up close towards the front end, and as we said, Tyler Gaffleone back in town to ride. This is a very game filly too. Slight drop in class.
Yeah, I like the drop in class. Now, as far as the 4, Strayana, she's coming in off a victory. I believe the only horse, indeed, the only horse in this field of 5 coming out of a last race victory. She did face slightly lesser as far as class is concerned. She was pretty good, though, overcoming what was a large deficit and closed from far back to just get up in a nick of time.
She did, and she delivered as the favorite last time. Now, winner's last out on the turf at Gulfstream. The barn is 5 for 20 and 10 for 20 in the money, so they do a good job of getting those horses to stay in form. Is a negative ROI. She probably will take money, as I said, off of that win, but she did close last time, and she really took a step forward, but it is a jump up from that non-winners of 2.
Yeah, properly placed, but she's facing better. Sassy Astray for both Acacia and myself in race number 3. As we turn our attention to the 4th, the Colts and Geldings for the first time on the Sunday card will get their due attention, as well as Mr. Perennial leading Gulfstream trainer in Todd Pletcher, as he sends out a total of 5 horses over the next 3 races at Gulfstream on the heels of a Kentucky Derby victory Saturday afternoon with Always Dreaming, and a perfect 3 victories, including 2 stakes at Gulfstream Park. You've got the 1 High Brazil, the first of the 2 Pletcher runners on top after this horse. I thought ran well up until basically the quarter pole first time out.
Yes, he did, and the reason that I had him on top today is because I loved the way that he looked in his debut race, and I've been waiting for him to come back because I watched his race. Alcor, the 2nd place finisher, was another Todd Pletcher, that one for Al Shakab Racing. So we had 2 in there, and physically I did prefer this one, but I thought he might need a race as far as mental and maturity goes. So I like that he's coming back now. I like that he has a race under his belt at the mile. Sharp work at Palm Beach Downs last time. He's very big, dark, really good-looking colt, and again, just might have needed that experience.
And you're looking to split the 2 Pletcher runners with the 5 Prince Tito for trainer Gustavo Delgado and Tyler Gaffleone, as this horse, son of Pioneer of the Nile, legitimately comes out of, and maybe it's a case where High Brazil and Battle Ready both improved second time out today for Todd, and that certainly could happen, but I don't think there's any arguing that Prince Tito is the one who's faced the real legit firepower.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you look at that race. Eastport, very impressive last time, and then we saw Donwell and Blind Ambition, the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, come back to win. They got 78 and 80 buyer speed figures in their next races, respectively, so certainly facing the toughest competition.
All right, Tyler rides that one from post number 4. Now, as far as the other Pletcher runner from post 3, that is the 4 Battle Ready. Not a fan of horses for this barn that debut on the turf first time out, but the fact that Todd had this horse going 9 and then brings him back today at 1 mile on the dirt leads me to believe, my assumption is, and I hope it's the correct one, that this horse just needs distance, and he wanted to run him long first time out. He tried the race going 9, caught a solid field back just a few Sundays ago on April 2nd, the day after the Florida Derby, and I'm looking for a horse who's bred to handle the main track to improve today beneath Edgar Zayas, who is, and just talking to you in the office a couple of hours ago, we were talking about Todd and his South Florida contingent. This seems like his go-to go-to rider at this point of the season.
Absolutely, does seem to be that. He had a stakes win yesterday and a maiden win with Emisel Jaramillo as well, but Zayas doing a great job for Todd's runners still here in the spring and summer meet at Gulfstream. Now this one, I did think the mare, she was multiple stakes plays. All three of her wins were on the turf, but certainly Union Rags, this horse should be able to switch his form just fine. Didn't like him debuting on the turf. Maybe though, now that he does have that extra distance under his belt.
Yeah, hoping the foundation is there for him to go the mile, defeat his stablemate High Brazil, and of course the 5 Prince Tito, who was going to like, I think, the competition in today's 4th race. We, like you, we're glad you're with us, and in fact, we've got a lot more coming your way on Gulfstream today, including Acacia's Rainbow Pick 6 after this quick timeout.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
And a hearty welcome back on Gulfstream today. It's Acacia and Jason joining you from historic and beautiful Gulfstream Park. The weather just perfect in the mid-70s again. A nice breeze blowing here in the backyard. Join us here at Gulfstream.
Yes, it is a beautiful day. We've been lucky with our weather over the past couple of days, and I finally remembered to bring some sunscreen for the paddock this afternoon.
All right, good. We'll have you out there doing your thing. Ron Nicoletti will be joining me in our little studios adjacent to the walking ring, and we'll get back to the action here with Sunday's 5th race. Fast and firm once again. Early pick 5, race 1. This is the cash out. This is also the starting point of the Rainbow Pick 6 with a carryover of more than $80,000.
Really nice carryover building. We saw a lot of money come into that sequence yesterday. We'll give you a look at my ticket. I do have a single, trying to keep it affordable, trying to give a guide. I'm going to single. The number 1, I'm stepping it up with an explosive victory last time out. He does have to repeat that, but I do think it's the horse to be in there. $48.60 for me, as I wanted to have some coverage in the other leg. So I'll use 3 horses in every other race, but hinging on that one right in the middle of the sequence.
All right, the tough 9-year-old. We'll see how he does in race number 8 off a daylight score, as you mentioned. More on him and the field he's facing in a few moments. But as far as the first leg of the Rainbow Pick 6 goes, we're on the main track at a mile. 3 and up, 12-5 maiden claimers. We get back to Todd Pletcher, who's got 2 in the 4th. 2 in the 6th. He goes it alone in race number 5, and this is just a big move all around for the Pletcher barn. A little bit of a trainer stat on a outfit that has so many high percentage training statistics and a number of comparable ones, including a 5 for 11, 45% strike rate with his second-time starters in maiden claiming races going turf to dirt in a field like this. That's good enough for me. I'm going to single him in the early pick 5. You, however, did you take him on top?
I did not put him on top, but I am using him in the first leg of the pick 6 because I had my reservations about him. It's the drop, the fact that he did debut for the $35,000 tag when they spent $95,000 on him at the Keeneland September sale. I thought there were a lot of questions about him. He certainly could win this race, and I would not be shocked at all. He's 9-5 on the morning line. Just thought that he really didn't fire at all in that debut race. Maybe it is just a case, and that's a great stat and a great positive ROI to look at for a small sample size. But now another drop in class, as well as the surface switch. I was treading lightly here.
All right, so the inside runner for you, Tis a Golden Rocket, who's well-bred, did not bring much money as a 2-year-old in training. You would think that's a negative, and the fact that the horse has run for maiden 50 and maiden 20 might be ready for his best today if he can go the mile from that inside post.
That is the key, stretching out in distance. But I do think that the stretch out will help him, as well as the apprentice allowance with Abby Medina in the saddle. I do expect him to be more forwardly placed from that rail. He was very rank and unsettled in his debut race. He's got some experience under his belt now. Didn't fire in either of those 2 races, but watching his dirt one, I think that he did want a little bit more distance and wanted to be closer.
And a dirt debut quickly on the outside. Disco Man, does he shimmy to the winner's circle as he makes his first start on the main track by Disco Rico?
Maybe he could. He was entered on the May 6th scratch. He'll run today. Looks like the connection's pretty keen on getting him onto the main track.
All right, the New York bred from the outside. Here's race number 6, halfway home on this beautiful Sunday at Gulfstream Park. 3 and up, Philly Mare, maiden special weight runners going a mile on the main track. Again, we go back to 2 runners from the Pletcher barn. A firster in the 5 Pleased, who you've got on top. I've got 3rd by Bernardini, and the 4 Bigsby Lou does attract Tyler Gaffleone. Second time out today, getting the blinkers on after a well-bet debut in a very solid and live field that's produced a couple next out winners. That is the 4 Bigsby Lou. Please tell us about the Bernardini filly, who at one time breezed an 8th here at Gulfstream Park in the sales she sold at in 10 and 4.
Yeah, well, first, did you use that horse in your pick 5?
Yes, I did use that horse in the pick 5, and we could show you the ticket right there. In fact, using the 3, she's a gracious lady going turf to dirt, as she's got some good, respectable, and consistent main track races out in the Midwest. I like the 4 Bigsby Lou, and we'll use the 5 Pleased as well. Again, an 8th in 10 and 4 so long ago when she sold as a 2-year-old in training here in March of 2016.
I like it. That's a very affordable pick 5 ticket, and certainly I think it's a fun sequence to look at. And Pleased, I did go with the first-time starter, and she is beautifully bred, as you said, 2-year-old, $350,000 purchase. It's an extensive work tab, and maybe that could be the question in here for sure. Why has she been working for such a long time? Why has it taken her such a while to get to the racetrack? But as we said, nicely bred. She's by Bernardini. She is kin to multiple graded stakes winner Delegation, as well as multiple stakes winner Hero on Saturday. The Dam won a grade 1. All over the place. She is bred to be a good one. I just liked the recent works, and thinking that she's going to be coming in sharp. I do like that it's the first leg of the pick 5. Maybe take a look at how these horses are acting.
Oh, no question about it. We'll have your expertise out there. We also have a trainer stat with trainer Keith Bourgeois. This is a sharp outfit. Good to have horses with this barn in South Florida in early May at Gulfstream Park, and she's a gracious lady. 4 for 7 with this barn, going turf to dirt with their maidens over the last 5 years. Big fat positive ROI. We'll see. She's got the experience edge for sure. With 8 starts under her belt, she's a gracious lady, capping the big 3, the 3, 4, and 5 in race number 6. To the late pick 4 we go, as race number 7 will start that sequence at 7.5 furlongs. It's a 3 and up Philly Mare, $20,000 maiden claiming race. We go with 8. Again, very few scratches and changes on the Sunday card at Gulfstream Park, and 1 white-hot trainer in the form of Joe Orsino, who, going back to Thursday, has got a combined 3 turf winners, and that, I think, is the biggest weapon in the arsenal of the one Don't Talk Back. I'm just going to ride the hot Joe Orsino turf angle from the inside post.
Certainly a fair angle to take, and yesterday he had No Denial first after the trainer switch, had another horse the other day second after the acquisition, so he's done very well with horses newly in his barn. And this one, I like her for sure. It's just, if you know me, I have a hard time taking a horse on top that just consistently seems to finish in the money. And she did have a little bit of an excuse a couple starts back with some hops, with a little bit of change. It was first off the claim as well. But last time out, I thought that was really a race that she could have performed a bit better in. Slight drop in class in here, so certainly speed from the inside will be key. But I did land on the number 2, Flying Queen, stretching out to 2 turns once again. I think that this one will probably be a little bit closer to the pace on the stretch out.
She'll try to go 7.5. I like the drop with her. The distance might be the biggest question. Her only start at 7.5 was against a much tougher field in early February during the championship meet. And tell us a bit about the New York bred by a Fleet Alex named Kabuki, who, boy, oh boy, did she put in an impressive wide run, only falls short last time out.
She really did, and I wanted to show that race because she's 8-1 on the morning line, and I think that this might be a horse you could use underneath. She's the number 2 that day, and we'll just let it roll from there. You can see her with the red cap, and keep an eye on that cap because she does drift off the first turn a little bit, looked a little bit rank and unsettled, but then she comes very wide around the far turn. You can see her closing far outside there. And I just thought there was a lot of movement going on in that race. It was kind of a weird pace setup. And the winner, Royal Chapeau, is the 3. She had a much easier trip and just missed, just couldn't get there. So she is technically taking a bit of a step up in class, but she's run at this level before, and I thought off of that performance she could be respected.
All right, on to race number 8 as we have our final dirt race of the weekend and the week at Gulfstream Park. Group of 6250 and a tough group of older claimers ready to roll. Couple 9-year-olds down towards the inside, both coming out of solid efforts most recently. The one I'm stepping it up, who won and drew off by more than 10. The number 2 Angel C, who nearly pulled off an upset at 20-1. And here is your Rainbow Pick 6 single. I'm stepping it up, who's got to come back and try to win another race.
Does have to step it up for sure, going to this Open Company, but he's run well against Open Company before. He's a 6-time winner at the distance. He's a 10-time winner in 72 career starts, won by daylight last time. And yes, he is first off the claim, but I just think not only with that open length victory, he's been in good form prior, even with a lot of changes being popular at the claim box.
He'll look like he looks like a handful, I should say, as Fernando Abreu gives him a shot today, and we'll tighten the saddle with a horse who again has been in a number of barns recently. Now the 8 Horner Man, so one of quite a few in here who's just been consistently solid at or near the 6250 claiming price. I think you can argue, even though it seems like on a horse-for-horse basis, this is a tougher field than the one that he is coming out of, and defeated a Magnanimous Mind who did not come back to run well in yesterday's third race. In fact, was kind of far up the track and checking in 7th. But I like the effort as far as face value goes most recently with the 8 Horner Man, and I could argue that hasn't been this good in quite some time. I would argue he's been as sharp as he's been in a while off the 2 starts with trainer Victor Barboza Jr. Little Horner Man for me in a race you will single, the number 1. I'm stepping it up. We'll see how he does off winning by nearly 11. We keep up the pace as we come up on the late double here. Race number 9 on the card, an all-turf late double to wrap things up at Gulfstream Park, and a good one here. Some tough fillies and mares ready to roll in this $35,000 allowance optional claimer, in which you and I will just take the exacta box with the 1 Terry's Big Heart and the number 3 Artemisa. I think a good chunk of this field will be happy to see Vendetta or Vendita is not in the race.
Absolutely. Vendita now on a multi-race win streak for sure. And that race that Terry's Big Heart comes out of, as you said, Vendita, she came back with an 84 Beyer speed figure to win her next and continue that string of victories. Second place finisher, Be Playful, who unfortunately has been staring at the backside of Vendita for the past couple races, did get her day in the sun with a 90 Beyer speed figure. Terry's Big Heart, she was pushed out a little wide on the turn last time, but I thought there was some stronger energy from some others in there, so I did go with the one that's dropping. The 3 Artemisa, I had some notes on her from the powder break. She did look physically fit and very well turned out. She didn't really run that much in that race, and it looked like Cali 37 was the main speed that day, the lone speed, in fact. So I will take this one, though it is a short turnaround.
Well, she was 100-1 against a better field most recently for trainer Antonio Sano, who we await to wait to hear and see if Gunnevera will go to the second jewel, the Triple Crown, the Preakness, in just 13 days. Horse who finished in the first half of yesterday's Kentucky Derby field behind Always Dreaming. As we, of course, dream for the finish line and maybe a Rainbow Pick 6 score today for you. And, of course, you, as you close things out, and we close things out with race number 10, a Florida-bred, non-winners of one, $16,000 optional claimer. We end the card and the week at the Gulf at a mile on the turf, and this is, I think, a race that basically defines the phrase skullbuster. There's a lot going on. This is a race that I had a tough time, even though you and I picked the same horse on top, had a tough time making heads or tails with.
I did too, and we agree with our bookends of the top 4, if you will, but we'll go back and show that last race for Tropicat, and I think a big reason why we both picked him and why he will take a lot of money. He's the number 10 that day, and we'll just let it go from the break, please, and stop it right there. There he is out there. His neck is lathered. He is a little bit unprepared at the start, and he is far out wide. And now we'll just let it go from there. He ends up being hustled up wide to get out to the front. It looked like he was pretty hot before the race. Again, just a bit unprepared at the start, and he is very, very wide. You can see the number 10 on the outside there. As we go a little bit through the race. We're going to go to the stretch run now and see how he was holding on the outside. The number 2 High Security had the inside. St. Louis, the 5, coming on the outside. As you watch the pan shot, it doesn't really look like there's much going on as we get to the wire, but we'll show the head-on of the stretch. And you can see the number 2 High Security drifting out. And we'll see as we get closer and closer, stop it right there. Gets bumped just at the wire. So maybe even got knocked around a little bit as we go and just run it through the finish line now. So I don't know how much that really cost him at the wire, but he did have an eventful trip.
Yeah, wasn't going to beat High Security, the inside speed, who forgot to stop at 12-1, but perhaps he would have been second and been in front narrowly of St. Louis. Still, he should pull a good trip. I like what I've seen so far. Again, still learning this circuit, very much a rookie here at Gulfstream Park, but as far as Luca Panici on the turf,
yeah.
I really like what I've seen out of him, and I'll take him to sweep the late double. And I don't like the post, but I am also going to use, at a price, and there isn't much turf pedigree, I'll admit that, but he'll be an okay price, the 10 Collective Wisdom for Ralph Nix, who I'm hoping sweeps the late exacta. I think that horse is on the improve. You've got the number 2 second, that is front-loaded, who clearly has a good post for trainer Jose Pinchin.
I just went with the experience on this one. Back to the turf. His only turf race so far was actually stakes competition at Gulfstream Park West, and he finished a very good second behind Squadron, who we did see in a stake yesterday as well.
All right, that is 10 up, 10 down. Race number 5 kicks off that 81,000 plus carryover in the Rainbow Pick 6. Acacia, myself, the legendary Ron Nicoletti, and of course, speaking of legendary, Pete Aiello, the voice here at Gulfstream Park, is standing by next with a reprise of Scratches and Changes.
We have to take care of these horses that, give us so much joy.